I had always trusted my husband, or at least I thought I did, until that evening at the office party when everything unraveled in ways I never imagined. It was a Friday night, the kind where the office lights dimmed just enough to make the champagne sparkle and the air thickened with forced laughter and secret flirtations. I had dressed carefully, a sleek black dress that hugged my curves, heels clicking lightly against the polished floor. The office was buzzing, colleagues mingling, drinks in hand, and I was trying to enjoy myself, until him. He was my boss, Mark, the kind of man who smiled like he owned the world and somehow made you feel like you were his entire universe. I had always kept things professional, but that night something shifted. Maybe it was the wine, or the way he leaned in close while I laughed at his jokes, or the careless brushing of his hand against mine. The laughter died down as he looked at me with that smirk that was both charming and terrifying. "You're beautiful tonight," he whispered. I smiled awkwardly, brushing it off. But then his hand slid just a little too close, too personal, under the hem of my skirt, and my stomach sank. I froze. My mind screamed, "Stop, stop, this is wrong," but I was paralyzed, the room around us fading into a blur. I tried to move away subtly, to pull my leg back, but he held it lightly, claiming it was a joke, his smile growing bolder. My heart was pounding, and I realized how vulnerable I was, how quickly a moment could spiral out of control. Then I saw him. My husband, James. He had come to drop off something he'd forgotten for me at my desk, and there he stood, watching. Not just watching, staring with an intensity that made my blood run cold. His eyes narrowed, the world slowing as he took in the scene. Mark's hand under my skirt, my tense posture, the flicker of fear in my eyes. Time seemed to freeze. My mind raced. How could this happen? How could he see this? I wanted to explain, to scream that nothing had happened yet, that I couldn't cheat on him, but my voice caught in my throat. James's expression didn't change, but there was a coldness in his eyes that I had never seen before. He didn't yell, didn't confront us immediately. He simply turned, walked a few steps away, and pulled out his phone. My heart sank further. He was recording. Every movement, every smirk, every hesitant touch captured in the most damning detail imaginable. Mark laughed nervously, trying to mask the panic spreading across his face. I was just joking, he stammered, but the tension was unbearable. I could barely breathe. "James, it's not what it looks like," I whispered, reaching for his arm, but he didn't even glance at me. He walked out of the room silently, leaving us in a cloud of shame and fear. I could feel the judgment of every coworker who had witnessed the tension, whispers spreading like wildfire. Mark tried to apologize, but it was too late. The damage had already been done. 2 days later, James called me into our living room. The air was thick with anticipation, and I could see the phone still in his hand, the evidence of the betrayal glowing on the screen. "Do you have anything to say?" he asked, his voice steady but sharp, cutting through the nervous energy that had been building inside me. I opened my mouth, tried to explain, but the words sounded hollow even to me. "It wasn't like that, I swear." He raised a hand. "Don't. I've seen everything," he said calmly. "And I don't just mean what happened with him." His eyes met mine with a mixture of hurt and resolve. "I've seen how you laughed at his jokes, how you leaned in, how you let him touch you. I've seen you compromise every boundary we had, and I can't ignore it." I felt tears sting my eyes, but I also felt a sense of helplessness. I had never imagined my husband could handle this with such controlled fury. "I didn't mean for it to happen," I whispered, my voice cracking. He shook his head almost sadly. "Intent doesn't matter. Trust does. And you broke it." That night, we didn't sleep in the same bed. He left me a note on the pillow instead. "We need time. You need to think about what loyalty really means." I spent hours staring at the ceiling, replaying the scene over and over. The memory of Mark's hand, James's silent recording, the look in his eyes, it was all too vivid to forget. In the days that followed, the office was unbearable. Mark avoided me, probably knowing his career was at risk if James decided to show the recording. And James? He was quiet, distant, but I could feel the storm behind his calm demeanor. He wasn't angry in the way people explode. He was calculating, watching, waiting. Eventually, James sat me down again. This time, he showed me the video. Every inappropriate touch, every guilty smile, every moment I thought I had concealed my discomfort, it was all there. And then he surprised me. "I'm not sending this anywhere," he said, his voice almost gentle. "But I want you to remember what could have happened. I want you to understand the consequences of allowing temptation to take over, even for a second." I nodded, ashamed beyond words. He didn't scream, didn't demand an apology, but his quiet authority was far more terrifying than anger. I realized then that the real betrayal wasn't just the moment with Mark. It was the fact that I had allowed it to happen, even in my mind, and that I had risked everything we had built together. Weeks passed. James didn't bring it up again, but the silence was enough to keep me in check. I focused on repairing the trust one had almost destroyed, knowing that one wrong move could undo everything. Mark eventually resigned, leaving quietly, and the office party became a memory I couldn't escape. And every time I thought about that night, I remembered one crucial thing: the look in my husband's eyes when he walked in. The calm fury, the silent judgment, the unwavering love mixed with disappointment. It was a lesson I would never forget, a reminder that some betrayals leave scars not because of the act itself, but because of the trust they break. From that day forward, I understood exactly what loyalty meant. And I vowed silently and completely that nothing, not charm, not temptation, not a single moment of weakness, would ever come between us again.